Alright, here's my 2016 F250. This is obviously the before video showing what it looked like beforehand. This right down here is the damage from hitting a little deer and the reason I'm going through and replacing all of this. So, coming on in then to the shop. This is all the materials that they sent, minus the two clevis hooks. It's all the bare pieces showed up pretty dirty as was expected. Just normal dirt and dust that's on steel. So wiped it all down with acetone, getting that set, and then I can pull the bumper off the truck and start fitting things together. All right, so we've got the truck pulled in here now. We've removed the front bumper and the brackets that support all of it. There's four main ones that attach to the tow hooks on the front here and over here as well. And there it sits with everything disconnected. Disconnected the battery. I'm not sure if it's 100% necessary, but it sure as hell couldn't hurt. And now we're gonna go ahead and start putting the frame mounts on there and seeing how we're gonna route things. Right. Here are the two frame mounts attached down according to the instructions. The vertical part of the frame mount is going towards the inside of the truck on both of those. So next up, start fitting the centerpiece. Got the center section on, and it's tack welded to the frame mounts. If you can see back in here, we've got one at the edge, one in there, and one down here just for placement for now. I found it beneficial taking measurements on total width and scribing a line right in the middle. I don't know how well that shows up, but scribing that line and then referencing it against center point coming down from the forward emblem, and then in this section between those two posts measuring that out to make sure that it's all centered, and then putting a torpedo level right on here to make sure it's level as well. At this point, we'll start with the wings and getting those tack welded. Right, here we've got the first wing having gone on. As you're going through here, make sure that you're keeping your gaps consistent. Wherever it is that you want them, that they're consistent. And then just 4 tack welds to kind of hold things in place. We're going to see about putting on the filler piece here so that it's got a little bit of strength in here as well from the tacks before we start pitting on the end cap. Alright, so we've got the filler piece tacked in as well to give some stability to the wing, and then we've got the end piece as well. Mind your gaps and how you want it to appear there. Comes out pretty darn well. You got to manipulate the gaps on it a little bit, as you would imagine, but it all comes together pretty well. So we've got the main hoop on here, getting a tack welded in place. This will be a whole lot easier to finish welding up after I've got it on the bench off the truck. Again, making sure your gaps are where you want them to be. And now's the time to start planning about any reinforcement that you want to do on the back side of it. So here we are, got it on the bench, welded up the back side. I am pretty far from professional welders, so it's working through it best as I can. So all the welds are done on the front, and those will get ground down for a smooth finish, and these on the back are not going to get ground down at all. So on from here, I'll throw it back on the truck, make sure it fits properly, and then see where I'm at if I want to add any other reinforcement to it. Alright, so I popped it back on there. I've only got a couple bolts, you know, sitting in there just to hold it in place, but they're not threaded in, so my gaps aren't quite right because it's not tightened down. But you know, once it's on the bench and you can finish welding it, if you fit things properly and put enough tack welds on to keep it from twisting, I recommend moving all around it. Don't weld all of one section at one time. You know, kind of do it here or there, move from one end to the next so you're dispersing your heat. And it should turn out pretty good. Alright, so here we are. We got our welds ground down, smoothed out. The lengths that you go to on this kind of depends on what you're going to do with it. Mine is going to get Linexed, so I'm not as concerned about every single little detail being taken care of because it's going to be covered on that part. If you're doing powder coat, you may need to go through. I did an 80 grit flap disc on this to smooth everything out, and that'll be sufficient for what I need. But otherwise, well, to whatever it is that you're going to be doing with it, I guess that's how you need to finish it. So now you go through, position the light brackets. I got it with the cutout for the 20-inch bar. As a side note, a 20-inch rough country light bar will not fit through this opening. It will butt right up to the back of it. But if you want it to push through it all, you're going to need to cut out probably about 1/8 of an inch or so. Anyway, so light mounts, go through, patch them together, use a bunch of magnets, test fit, tack it, test fit it again, throw another tack, test fit it again. Because this stuff's not going to be super easy to cut out once you've got it welded in there, however you're putting it in. So it's worth the extra time just on the test fitting. I don't remember if I covered this before or not. So I took the two hooks and grooved them out between each other and just welded them together to make one solid 1-inch hook, and did 3 passes around it on the front. And I'm going to weld some reinforcement plate across the back here. A center single mounted hook was of greater value for me for what I do with the truck, for getting extracted if need be, if I can't go backwards. So instead of having the 2 on the side, I just did 1 in the middle. Like I said, better for my purpose. So here is the reinforcement that I did on the back of it. That is a piece of 1/4 inch, and I drilled holes through the center of it. It's right behind that hook, so that I could weld through. I've got it from the other side as well, through the front of the bumper, and then the perimeter on it as well, so to stiffen that up to keep it from deforming should there be side deflection on that hook on the front. So for me, this is pretty well lit. I got a few BBs I got to scrape off, not much, and I'll be calling Linex tomorrow to see when they can get it in and get this coated. So the next video you see should be with it completely Linexed. Alright, and here is the end result of the bumper after it's got the Linex coating on it. It said that paint covers a multitude of sins. Well, Linex does an even better job. So I put a couple of those cubes wired into the fog lights just as replacement for those, and a 20-inch light bar across the front of it, which does a really good job of turning night into day out on the country roads for me. So there it is. Take your time. You know, you don't have any unsightly gaps. You know, makes it even on all sides. So Hope this helps somebody.